Big warm welcome for Becky from Precision Graphics.
You have to get right on the mic.
Okay, right on the mic. Is that good? Okay.
Right on the mic.
Okay. Is it louder? Is it good? Okay. So I'm Becky, and I'm from Precision Graphics. I'm the art director there. Precision Graphics, for those of you who don't know, is just located right across University, and we've been located there for quite a long time. We've been in the Champaign-Urbana area for over 30 years now. We are primarily a studio that produces scientific and medical illustrations for the educational industry. Our top clients are primarily textbook illustrators, and my voice is going to start sounding like I'm crying, but I'm not. Okay, so anyway, we do textbook illustrations at the college level primarily. We also have quite a large client base. We do things for National Geographic. We do Scientific American, University of Illinois is one of our clients, and anywhere from McGraw-Hill, Prentice Hall, the big textbook illustrators. If you've been in college, or taught in college, or had a child in college, chances are you've looked at an illustration done by Precision Graphics. So that's what we do. Anyway, when I was asked to do this, by Christy, twisted my arm. I said what other people have said. Visualization, what is visualization? Oh my gosh, I'm looking it up in the dictionary, And this is something that we do day in and day out. And I was very interested listening to Luke when he talked about how a movie was made, because I could find the parallels completely in how we produce the art with a textbook, from all the ins and outs, the funs of budgeting, the funs of meeting deadlines, having schedules, all those sorts of things. And I thought that was very interesting. I also, coming back to what visualization is to me and how that affects my job on a day-to-day basis, I realized that it affects my job quite a lot. And when I looked up visualization, and I noticed it was one of the top definitions, was creating a mental image. And one of the things that is the most difficult, I would say, in my job is relaying one mental image from one person to the artist who now has to create that mental image in either a 2D or 3D illustration. If I say to you, think of a rose, I would just assume your rose is probably my rose, and that's a really bad assumption to make. You could have a red rose, you could have a rose bud, you could have a rose that's open, you could have maybe a primrose. Maybe you've been gardening in your garden all day with primroses. And so to just use words and say, draw a rose here, this is a very simple example, but a lot of times we'll just draw a rose there, and the client will be, well, why did you draw that? This isn't what I asked for. And so there's a big miscommunication between one person's mental image and another person's mental image. We get in our workflow is that we get manuscript from any author. We work very closely with authors to distinguish exactly what they want. There are some authors who are actually very good artists and can sketch very well, and for us, our job is quite nice. We just kind of make it look pretty and make everything match in the book. Other authors, they may have no idea. I've worked with an author who, until everything was drawn and rendered, he couldn't really visualize it. And he would say to me, no, that's wrong, because this has to go under this. And then I would make it go under that, and then he would say, but then maybe this Yeah, I mean, he would say, no, it doesn't, it has to go back over or something, you know, it was always this back and forth, and some authors are like that. Today I came across one of the illustrators, and he was looking at some manuscript very just with this questionable look on his face and saying, yeah, I'm trying to read this short paragraph of what this person wants that should have required several pages of information, but he just wanted it put down into, you know, a paragraph. And he'd been working with this author enough so he could kind of interpret what he was wanting, but it was still very difficult. So we do work with visualization on that, with the mental image going from one thing to another, that we can never assume that one person's mental image is the same as the next person's mental image. On the other hand, I'm glad that we produce these visuals because I believe that our visualization really helps students to learn. One of the things I learned, in my past lifetime, was a teacher, and I was taught how to teach children how to read. And one of the things is that if you have the word C-A-T, and a child just looks at that word and is just learning how to read it, if they don't know what a cat is, they can't learn how to read that word. They will have no idea. So our words and how we learn how to read and how to process information is based on our experiences, and a lot of times those experiences are based on visual images that we collect in our head. So when we're producing visual images for the educational field, I just feel like it's very, I don't want to say altruistic, but it just really helps a student. We do produce a lot of things that cannot be photographed and things that are very difficult to imagine. So it gives the students a basis to start to learn. So when the teacher says, when the professor says, okay, here's the rows, they on page whatever, they know everybody's on the same page with what that image is, so that they don't have to think, oh my gosh, am I imagining this right? They know this is what it should look like in my head, and now maybe I can take this to a higher level and I don't have to worry whether I'm imagining this thing to be the correct thing. I was, a long time ago, a math major, long before there were graphing calculators or anything visual, and I just recall being in a calculus class and having the professor say, now imagine this rotating around this axis, and myself going, I don't know if I'm imagining this correctly. And just recently I was at a presentation where all this was now, there was an online calculus book, and you could just plug in your numbers and everything would rotate and it would show you exactly how this 3D thing would form. And I just thought, geez, it would be so easy now to be a calculus student. And then you can put your energy into learning more things rather than wondering what somebody is really talking about. So anyway, that's my experience in visualization.